Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Oh, I forgot my AirPods. Hold on. So,
How's it going?
good. How are you?
Great.
Different time zones. It's dark
Grand.
here. Grand.
Still light over here.
So,
All right. Let's see.
um, I guess we'll wait like 2 minutes and let people come in,
Sounds
and
good.
then we'll just take questions.
Sounds good.
So, what did you do today?
Great question. I had a couple of training sessions. I took Chloe to one of them. We had the training session with this little Chihuahua that I've been training for like a couple months now.
Oh, nice.
So I took Chloe with me for the first time because she was like very reactive to dogs and fearful. So she did great. I was so proud of her. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah,
It's
it was
convenient when
so
you
cool.
are a trainer and you have a nice dog that you can use
For
to help
sure.
other dogs.
For sure. Chloe is really nice until someone is obnoxious or in her face a lot, then she's not very nice.
Yeah. I own
But
a I own 50 border collies, so
yeah.
So I guess
Hello from the Caribbean. Wow,
nice.
cool. Nice.
I see some of my clients.
Nice.
Some of them are texting me. That's funny. Hi, Laura. So how this will work is you can like ask questions and we'll just try to get to as many as we can. So some
Hello
people
from
are
Los
already asking.
Angeles. All right, people are forgetting the questions already.
I know.
Where are you at Super Zoo, Gia?
No, Gia has not gone on a vacation in a very long time. Hello from exotic Long Island. That's Matisse's mom.
Nice. Hello from Hawaii. All over.
Detroit.
How do I work on my dog resource guarding from other dogs? Gia, first question is yours.
So I would say the easiest thing to do is like management. And so when you own a bunch of dogs, it's easier sometimes to just avoid than to try to fix because resource guarding dog to dog is very normal. And so I like to feed dogs separately. And I also like to make sure that I don't get mad if my dog's resource guard. I just take items away and get everybody redirected. And if I have a dog that resource guards and I really, really want to try to fix it and work on it, dog to dog resource guarding is super hard. And that's something that I would hire a professional to do. I wouldn't try to tackle it as an owner. But if it was me, and my dogs do resource guard from each other from time to time, and I've like posted videos about it, what I'll do is just reward my dogs for chewing their bones on their own places, and teach them that there's no reason why they should ever get into another dog's space when they have an item. And if I do see them going over to cause a problem with a dog with an item, I immediately recall them away. So they learn that it's just not an option to bother each other, or to get upset with each other as well.
Nice, perfect. So another question says, when training place duration, my dog will stay there but bark at us. Any advice? Um, Good question. I think in that case, you got to go back to kind of the beginnings of teaching place and keep it fun and don't let the dog stay on his place for long times and just kind of release him often, reward him for getting on bed, keep it very fun, very short. Even if you get like 10, 15 seconds without barking, reward the dog and release him off the bed again. And then once you build on that little by little, keep him busy, rewards all the time on the bed, rewards from your hand. Once you build on that and you get to a level where you feel like, hey, he's doing good, he's going even, I don't know, 30 seconds without barking, great. At that point, I think what's good to do is give him like a Kong, a chew, something to keep him busy when he's on his place. And don't let him feel like every time he gets on his place, he's going to be stuck there for many, many minutes or 30 minutes or an hour or things like that. That is my
That
advice.
sounds good to me. So I have a quick comment. if you ask questions in the chat, they're going to disappear because there's so many people asking. So it would be good if you ask them in the place where you can ask a question, which some of you have figured out how to do, but I don't know how to do it. So if somebody wants to chime in a comment how to ask a question, that would be very helpful. But you should be able to click like
The question mark.
the little question mark and then type it in there. So if you want to ask a question, yeah, go in there. So we'll take one from over there. I clicked it. Did anything happen? Oh, people know how to do it. Now they're coming. Okay, so oh, there we go. What's the best way to deal with a dog that nips at the face when excited? So I'll take that one. Usually dogs that nip at the face when they're excited, that's like an anxiety or an over arousal behavior. Often it's not even aggression, but you can get cut in the face by a dog that's doing it. Or they'll jump up towards your face and hit you in the face or the nose, and it's really unpleasant. So what I like to do, honestly, is if I know that the dog has that tendency, I either hold them by the collar and keep them anchored to the ground, or I step on the leash so that they physically can't do the behavior. And then I think about all the situations in which the dog might want to nip at somebody's face or jump at their face. And I try to teach my dog an alternative, like sitting or laying down or going to place. And I also find that dogs that do that often are allowed to greet people all the time. And so we want to not set an expectation with dogs that they can say hi to everyone. Because when you set an expectation with a dog that they're allowed to say hi to everyone, they become very anxious and overwhelmed by the world because there's constantly the need and compulsion to greet. And that's about it. And also, like, there's nothing wrong with putting a dog away when visitors come over. So if your dog is hard to handle and a lot to work with, you don't have to work with them in every single situation. If you want to socialize with somebody and you don't want to train your dog, you can just put them away in a crate or in another room. And oh, the person says, it's usually when I get home, I will avoid greeting him like that then. So if my dogs are jumping at me when I get home, then I probably wouldn't have that dog loose to greet me at the door. Or when I came in, I would have treats next to the door and quickly like ask them to sit and then wing one away from me and just keep getting them to move away. All
Great
right.
advice.
Thank you. So do you want to pick a question?
I don't think I'm getting the questions. So
I'm the keeper of all the questions.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So you're gonna have to read all the questions.
I'm gonna have to read all the questions.
Yeah.
We'll just go top down. This one's fun. How do I stop my 7-month-old border collie from freaking out when she goes outside and the patio umbrella is open? When I close the umbrella, she tries to rip it. How can I get her to accept it? So this one is funny because my border collies, some of them will attack moving objects. Georgie recently got into a fight with a hedge trimmer that was on. And so it's something that they can do because they get really over aroused by motion and by people causing motion. And so they will go after things that are like quick moving, like an umbrella, saws, vacuums, brooms, etc. So what I personally would do is I would teach a strong place behavior, and then I would keep the dog on a leash so that they absolutely cannot exhibit the behavior. And then I would gradually ask them to stay on place, move the umbrella a little or touch it, go back, reward them, move the umbrella a little more, go back, reward them. And I would desensitize them to the umbrella with treats or counter conditioning.
Perfect.
Anything?
I can see the questions here actually now. I do have access to the questions. Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, pick one.
My 14-month-old lab male, unneutered, will often get over-aroused, overexcited in the house, and he seems to have to run everywhere. Do I just manage this with a leash? Even going downstairs, he goes 100 miles an hour. It's a bit of a safety thing as well. Okay, 14 months old lab. Um, that's a good question. I've seen some of those labs that are really get overexcited, over aroused, kind of even they have sometimes tough time like focusing on something specific. I personally think sometimes it comes out of like pent up energy. I think burning their energy in a good way, like a game of fetch or a run or a long walk or something that even stimulates their mind, like snuffle mats, throw some treats in grass, you know, get them kind of let the energy, something like to release their energy. And I think also a leash would definitely help in that case, and having food on you. And also, kind of your demeanor sometimes has to be kind of calm. So if a dog is really excited, you being calm might counter that excitedness in them. And the opposite is true. And I think that's what I would do.
I have nothing to add. That sounds good to me. All right, next
Thank you.
one. Okay, this is one of my clients, so you can take this one and maybe you'll have different input for them. So it says, whoops, hold on. Did it work? Okay, my dog loves to steal. We trade him for stolen items for treats. Otherwise, he will never drop it or give it back. Now he steals intentionally for treats. Help, he's outsmarted us.
I doubt that a dog can outsmart humans. I think sometimes all it takes is thinking outside the box. Dogs are really good in noticing patterns and learning them. So what I would do is go back to the videos where we taught the out and don't give him the treat unless he releases the item in his mouth, and then reward him, mark and reward after doing that. And then you can build on that in a way where maybe skip once, like ask him to out. And once you know he's getting 10 outs in a row that are good before you show him the treat, mark and reward. And then one time out of nowhere, just don't give him a treat. Ask him to out and mark it, say yes, but don't give him a treat, just take the item. And I think if you build on that, you will get to a point where the dog is kind of anticipating a reward, but not expecting a reward every single time he has an item.
Sounds good. This dog happens to climb on top of tables to get things,
Oh,
walk on
okay.
counters.
Okay.
He's naughty.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to pick one?
Sure. How to work through planting, laying down on leash when trying to get him to come inside, go to place, etc. Gia.
Well, it depends on how big the dog is. So if it was a smaller dog, I honestly would probably pick them up and walk a few steps and put them back down and just not let them get trapped in that loop. If they were like a small dog that was cool with being picked up, or a puppy. Other dogs that do that, I would try to think about why they might be doing that. Are they afraid of coming in the house for some reason? Do they view it as punishing? Are they afraid of going to place for some reason? Do they view it as a problem? I would definitely never ask a dog to do something they don't like and then walk them over to do it. So you want to be careful that you're not punishing your dog following you or coming to you by doing things that they then don't like. I would try to not make it a big deal when they do it, or they can become overwhelmed. So often I will face the direction I want to go, like when you're horseback riding and you look where you want to go. And I will just like gently move them with the leash, like not pop them or like drag them, but move them with the leash as if I am holding the hand of a small child. Because sometimes if you just act like you didn't even notice that they're planting, they just keep going. Like sometimes it's your body language anticipating that they're going to do that causes you to turn towards them and make them stop. And I would also, if your dog has any training, try to do like the touch cue to get them to get up and follow you. You can anticipate if they're going to do this, like before they actually lay down, and do some find it with some treats. Like, so if I know when I want my dog to come inside, that they're going to get upset about it, then we need to teach them to come inside as a cue, and we need to use food to do it. So it's a positive thing. And the same with place. Like if my dog doesn't want to go to place, that's a problem, because they should want to go to place, because it should mean that they're going to get food rewards. And so I would look at it as a value building issue as well.
True. How do you feel about building recalls away from this and then kind of using recalls, but when you recall them, if they come inside, don't put them on their place. Do something really fun, like their favorite toy, tug with them, have them throw a ball for them or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah. So we don't want to work on the problem within the problem. We want to train outside of the problem before we try
Right.
to fix our problem.
100%.
Okay. Next question.
Hey, my dog is sensitive with his paws when cutting his nails. He used to be good at it, but he had a bad experience and now he is borderline aggressive. What do I do?
What do you do?
Good question. When you say borderline aggressive, I'd like to know, what do you mean? Is a dog growling? Is a dog snapping? Is a dog showing teeth? What is he doing exactly? And kind of how stable the dog is behaviorally. Has he bitten anyone before? All of the stuff. Is he muzzle conditioned? I mean, but from what you're saying, if it is not, if he hasn't shown any signs of aggression, never bit anyone, he's a stable dog. What I would do is teach him kind of like, if he gives you a paw, you're not going to mess with his nails. Reward him just for touching his paw, and then gradually build on that. Reward him for him giving you his paw to hold it in your hand. Then him, I don't know, giving you the paw for you to be able to touch his nail. Like, go very slow with this and make it really positive. And at one point, I believe giving him maybe his favorite chew or his favorite toy, even if you show him like kind of the nail trim clipper and you get it next to him, close to his paw, but not even, don't let it touch his paw. Reward him for that. Kind of gradually build. Goes very slow, and don't feel pressured to go fast. So, and if you feel like you went too fast, take a step back and do it again.
It's definitely a really hard thing to teach. I know like Lev and Vera are really good about their nails being done, which is why often they appear in videos of me doing nails, but Georgie is not good at all. And it's like a big project to teach her. And Deb Jones, like if you really want to get into it, Deb Jones has a cooperative care book that has like step-by-step tips for teaching your dog to do things that they don't like to do.
Nice.
Oh, and I would also add that it is very important to have good clippers or a good Dremel. I have Miller's Forge, and they're very sharp. And when I've used like other tools, they just don't work well, and they crush the nail, and then the dog gets really upset. So I would buy like very good clippers, and it doesn't matter how much money they are, they just need to be really sharp. I think the Miller's Forge one are $6 or $7. And then for a Dremel, like quieter is better. So generally for those, the more expensive ones are the better ones. Okay. My 7-month-old mongrel is scared of traffic noises, but I live in a busy city, Hong Kong. That's probably pretty busy. Help. So this is a tough one. We have a dog that is already past the critical social window. And so we would want to work with her, like using treats and rewards. However, if you don't make extremely fast progress with what we would do, I would say that it would be best to speak with your veterinarian sooner than later about behavioral medications, because most dogs that are exhibiting a lot of fear and they're constantly flooded with scary things due to the nature of their lives, they tend to develop more triggers and get worse over time. So if you work with your dog and she's doing well, that's great. But if she isn't doing well, I would speak to your veterinarian about anxiety medication so that you can quickly move past this, because we don't want your dog to like continue to be stressed. And at 7 months old, this could go either way. So what I would do is I would begin doing a ton of enrichment feeding and confidence building exercises and obedience exercises inside your apartment, and really try to use food as much as possible, like hand feed your dog during training or during enrichment. And then I would be taking my dog out on the street when you have to take them out to use the bathroom, and I would bring like meat with me. So high value rewards are not dog treats. It's like whatever, chicken, pork, steak, anything you have. And it has to be like fresh and good, because we really want to pull out all the stops and just throw everything at this to see if it can get better. And then I would be trying to do like very basic exercises outside and see if the dog will take food, and try to keep the dog occupied with me. And if any kind of loud noises happen, or your dog is noticing anything, be it people, other dogs, a scooter, whatever, you want to reward them like over and over for noticing things in their environment. If your dog is too fearful to take even the most delicious meat, that's when we start to say that the pet is being sensitized like to the environment and being flooded, and they're unlikely to get better. So we really have to figure out like if your dog is doing enrichment and being fed often, like by hand, if they can do it outside. And if they can't do that outside, then we have to ask our veterinarian for help.
Perfect.
Anything to add? Pretty
No,
concise.
you said it perfectly. So perfect. Teaching a stay to a Velcro dog. Double-edged sword. Velcro dog. I mean, Velcro dog is cool. You can have them off leash a lot, but it also has a lot of downsides. So teaching stays, I always like to use place beds or some of those rubber feed buckets. I just turn them over, teach the dog how to get on it, and then slowly kind of start building stay. Place bed is great for this. Keep the dog on leash, go really slow. When you say stay for the first time, when the dog is on the bed, you don't want to take 5 steps back. You take half a step back, hold with the leash in your hand. And the reason I say half a step, because if the dog breaks a stay or comes off the place bed, you're going to take a step forward and your spatial pressure is going to push the dog backwards onto the bed. And build duration before distance, go slow, and don't go in a linear fashion. So what you want to do is, first time they stay for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, next time 20 seconds, third time doesn't have to be a minute. So kind of like keep it very random and go really slow. And again, duration before distance, and set them up for success. And place bed is the answer to this.
Sounds good to me. All right. Oh, this is a client. And I also posted her the other day. She's a very good young trainer. I think she was born the year I graduated high school, which really disturbed me, honestly.
Are you
So
that
my
old,
dog,
Gia?
she is that old, yes, apparently. My dog barks and whines when I leave the apartment, and she is loose. If she is crated, she is quiet. Any idea why this is? So this person just moved to her first apartment. And I think it's very normal when you move to a new place for dogs to go a bit off the rails. I think I've moved like 18 times since I graduated high school. And it can be really hard for some dogs, especially dogs with a little bit of anxiety, to adapt and be okay with this. So I think when she's crated, she's quiet because the crate is a predictable part of her old life, like at your parents' house. And so I personally would leave her in the crate every time I leave for a while and just let her get used to living in your apartment. And maybe I would be in no great rush to leave her uncrated, because we really need her to be completely mentally calm every time you leave. And then I probably would test the waters like in a month or two and leave her loose, but try to do a few things that look the same as when you crate her. So if you give her like a special bone or toy every time you leave, you should still incorporate that. Or if you leave music for her on when you leave, you should do that. And then you can leave and see what she does. But I think if you get her in the habit of when you leave in the new apartment, she's quiet and calm, the first time you try to leave her out of the crate in a month, she's going to be totally fine. Sometimes also, I know you like lived in a busy household because you had, I think, as many or more siblings than me. So your dog may just not be used to like being left alone in that same manner. Some of it could be when you live in an apartment, they're watching you leave through the front door, and that can weird them out, or they're hearing other noises and that's weirding them out. So there's like a lot of factors that could be impacting this. All right. Next one for you.
This is a very interesting one. My three-year-old male guards his poop if anyone goes towards it after he's gone. He also gets mean, even if you're near him. When he's past gas, he doesn't guard his food. I'm curious to know if he has any other resource guarding issues. Like does he guard his bones? Does he guard his toys? Or is it only his poop? Because I've never seen a dog that guards his poop and doesn't guard anything else. I mean, it might be the case, but I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I would think a solution would be is just to pick up his poop as soon as he goes, without getting him distracted with treats or something while you're picking it up, and then pick it up, and then it's not there anymore. There's nothing for him to guard. And when he's past gas, it makes me think, like, is he really guarding that? Or like, I believe it depends on the severity of the situation, but consulting a trainer won't hurt in this case because there are so many variables. I don't know the dog. I don't know the history. So I think seeking some help is definitely the right thing to do.
So I did post a video recently of a dog who guards vomit.
But yep, I saw that.
And she will guard like other things, sort of, but not like to the extent that she'll guard barf. And she has pica, and she also has like a severe gastrointestinal problem. And so sometimes when they don't feel good, they suddenly will start to guard, or they'll associate, throwing up with being uncomfortable. And so they'll get upset, and then the guarding is triggered. And I would say most dogs that exhibit like this weird type of guarding, I've never seen them not have other problems. Like there's always some anxiety or weird aggressive behaviors that they do outside of that. And usually what I would do is like move them away after they've gone to the bathroom and have them sit and stay, and then pick it up while they're sitting and staying. Or I would just leave it and put them inside and go and pick it up. We had in the animal shelter, because often dogs are really stressed out there, we had some dogs that would like severely guard poop and attack you if you went to touch it. So we had to do these little tactics sometimes. Okay. Next question. When did you guys meet and start your collabs? Well, we've never met in person because he's in California and I'm in New York. But we met in the comments of my Instagram. He made a really nice comment, and I made a nice comment back.
You thought I was being a jerk, and I totally wasn't. And yeah, that's how we met.
That's how we met. We started talking, and we get along very well. So, and we started collaborating like, I guess a month ago or something.
Yeah.
A month and a half. Yeah.
How do I get my dog to stop crying every time any one of us leave the house?
So some separation issue. So I would want to know how long your dog is crying for, because like separation anxiety and isolation distress are really different. So a dog crying for a few minutes when somebody leaves doesn't really bother me, but a dog that's crying continuously for a long amount of time is a bit more of an issue.
Right.
So give us a little more details and re-ask, and then we'll get to it.
Like, is a dog crate trained? Does the dog have anxiety inside his crate if you're at home, or what, things like that. So how old is the dog too? How long have you had the dog? What is the history? That all helps.
All right, next one. How do I stop my dogs from protecting me at the dog park? No unknown people or dogs can come near. So I would say that they're probably not protecting you, they're resource guarding you. And so I question like any adult dogs really going to the dog park, because most of them don't truly enjoy it, and they start to develop weird anxiety behaviors after the age of like 1. And so I would look at that first, like, does my dog actually like going to the dog park? Is my dog playing appropriately, or is my dog just resource guarding me and fetching a ball? And then if I had a dog that liked to resource guard me, I absolutely, and resource guarding, if your dog is resource guarding you against people, then they absolutely should not be loose in a dog park, because a dog going after people that are approaching you and they're loose is a liability. But if it's like minor and they're just being a little weird, I would just keep moving and not allow your dog to stand near you and start to get fixated on guarding. I mean, the other thing too is, yeah, if your dog is guarding you against people or dogs, it just sounds like the dog park is not a fun place for them and that they're stressed. And often guarding comes out because a pet is stressed. So if you're only ever seeing your dog behave aggressively at the dog park towards people, then that's like a good indicator that they've aged out.
Right.
Do you want to pick the next one?
Sure. My older Husky and young Shepherd were getting along great for 3 months, and now they have to be completely separated due to constant fighting. My Husky has attacked my other dog out of the blue. What can I do? Um, I think one of the big thing with multiple dog households is keeping things equitable between the dogs. If you give one dog one treat, the other gets one treat. If you take the dog out and train him, you take the other one and train him. And showing kind of the dogs to coexist, and you're the one who kind of asks them what to do, and you're the one, I wouldn't say in control, because I'm not one of those who thinks we have to control every little thing in our dog's life. Of course, management is good, but it's not about control and kind of being dominant over the two dogs. I would say teaching them place bed. Of course, having them on tethers, both of them, hooked on leash to something. Of course, teach the place bed separate and then combine them kind of together, both on leash, both can get to each other. Take the first one out while the other one is watching, do some stuff with him, I don't know, some little training, ask him to sit, give him a reward, do the same thing with the other one, and be careful with resources with it too. And yeah, it's a tough one. It's going to take a lot of management, but I think if you stay consistent and you manage it well, you will get there. And Gia, if you have anything to add, feel free. I know you have 4 dogs in the house, so it's probably have some
I mean,
insights.
these are like things like this. If your dogs are just attacking out of the blue and then they constantly fight, like that's something that I would hire like a professional to help you with, because there's going to be things that you don't see that are happening, triggers that are happening that are causing the fights. And sometimes a dog has a like an intrinsic mental problem, and that is why they're like attacking
True.
out of the blue. And usually dogs don't attack out of the blue, but it can happen. And I especially see dogs that have like severe shifting trigger resource guarding that simply cannot live with other dogs. So it really just depends. And it can be hard to find like a qualified professional to work with on this issue too.
Yeah.
So I would
And
try like,
go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I would try iaabc.org and see if anybody's
Yeah.
certified is in your area.
I wonder if the puppy got in the other dog's face a lot, or like kind of didn't understand like the signs of the other dog kind of telling him like, hey, get away from me. And like it's kind of escalated from there. And some dogs, when they fight once, it becomes a thing, and just it's tough. It's tough to
Yeah.
deal with for sure.
It could really be anything. I have houses where food is left down, and so the dogs are just, it's a simple thing of like, don't leave food out for dogs that are resource guarders. And Huskies and Shepherds both are frequently resource guarders. So it could be that. It could be they're similar in age and you're having a weird aggression that can happen when animals are both socially immature. It could be that they're playing too rough and it's unmanaged.
Right.
There's like a million reasons why it could be happening. So that's why I would definitely hire like either somebody that's IAABC certified or like a veterinary behaviorist to take a look at them and see why this is happening. And I would muzzle train them. That's important. We forgot that.
For sure. I like to muzzle train nearly any dog. I mean, it's a good skill to have. Why not? Especially if you teach that from puppyhood, it's easy to teach, and you never know if your dog gets hurt or something happens or he has to go with the vet. You have to put a muzzle on him, so then you don't want the muzzle to add even more stress on the dog. So muzzle training is always good for any dog, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Yeah.
Okay. There's so many good questions. Okay, I'll do this one's good. What would you do with an adult rescue dog that's terrified of going downstairs? She's 6 this year and is totally fine going up them, just not down. So I would handle this well, there's plenty of ways to handle this, but I would try a few different things. If I was physically able to pick the dog up without falling down the stairs, I would probably pick her up and put her on like the third to last step and see if she can go down 3 steps. And so I would do that. I would do that like over and over, and then like gradually put her on a higher and higher step and see if I could back chain going down the stairs. And another thing is, if she was going down the stairs her whole life and then suddenly stopped going down the stairs, I would look for a physical issue. But it sounds like that wasn't the case. You could also do like a slow boat method, and you could target train her, like teach her to touch your hand, and then gradually start to teach her to touch your hand closer and closer to the steps, and then build some bravery and see if she can learn to like step down by touching your hand for each step. Anything else? Ideas?
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's great.
that one's pretty common.
Yeah, and also if you can get one of those, like, I don't know, 2 steps, like plastics, you can order some on Amazon and maybe teach the dog how to go down 1 step instead of like her seeing the whole picture, kind of break the picture down for her and teach her how to go down 1 step and reward her for it, and then 2 steps, and then so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could also be too, if you have steps that aren't carpeted and they're slippery. Some dogs are just afraid of slipping down the stairs. And
Yeah.
so if like, I recommend having carpet runners if you have dogs, because wood steps are not safe
Yeah.
for a lot of them.
Yeah. You won't even believe how many dogs are washed out, like from police dogs, just because they're afraid from slippery floors. A lot. It's a common issue. Let's see. I have to walk my dog a couple times a day. He is reactive towards other dogs, bikes, scooters, etc. I have tried different things, but still an issue. Honestly, you might not like the answer, but stop walking your dog until you build the tools, engagement, neutralizing triggers from a distance when you have control over the trigger. Like, I don't know, tell your friend to meet you at the park where there are no other dogs at a distance with his dog. Keep your dog below threshold. Feed your dog, scatter feed your dog. The dog notices a trigger, reward him. Make the trigger predict a reward, again from a distance, and you want to be in control of the trigger. you don't want to kind of expose your dog to a trigger you have no control over, like getting him on the sidewalk and the scooter passes right next to him. That's not fair to you or the dog. So distance is your friend in this case. Again, build engagement away from those triggers, go slow, and kind of introduce the triggers slowly and in a controlled manner. And if all those stuff don't happen and you feel like, hey, you're overwhelmed, seek professional help, of course. That's always a good thing to do in those cases. Someone who's not going to correct your dog and like yank him on a leash and think, hey, your activity is fixed. It's not fixed that way. It doesn't fix anything. So yeah, stay positive, consistent, and you'll get there if hopefully if you keep doing what I told you to do.
Oh, where do you learn about muzzle training? That's easy. Muzzleupproject.com is an awesome website, and it has a guide to picking out a muzzle, and it has like videos for muzzle training, and it has like a step-by-step PDF, and I tell like all of my clients about it. Muzzle Up Project.
Nice. Do you see this one? Hi, my beagle yells out of excitement at night while I'm preparing her dinner. I put her in her crate while I'm fixing her food. Then I let her out, ask her to sit, and then go back in her crate. She does, then I give her the food. Is that okay? I don't want to reward her for screaming. What do you think, Gia?
I mean, if that's the only situation where she bugs out, I might not even be inclined to fix it. Like if that is the one situation where she's yelling. But if I did want to fix it, I would probably, is she yelling in the crate? Is she quiet in the crate?
Let me see.
Let's see if they comment. I mean, let's assume she's quiet in the crate. If she's quiet in the crate, then that's great. And it sounds like it's working for you. If she's not quiet in the crate, then what I would do is put your place bed, like right by where you prepare the food. And I would ask her to be in a down, and I would be rewarding her like piece by piece with her food for laying quietly in a down.
And I'm curious to know if, what are the things that you do every night that kind of tells her that, hey, now it's food time? Like, do you go, when you go in the kitchen, does she hear are you opening the food bag or you opening the fridge? So I think breaking the cycle would help. I don't know, have some of your family member walk the dog while you prepare the food, and then when she comes back, bam, the food is there. You know, it's like it's so kind of counter condition what she's classically conditioned to, like whatever signs those are. Pick a question.
That can be hard because the screaming that she's doing is reinforced because eventually she's going to eat. So it's about like breaking up the triggers and fixing each one, and then rewarding her for the calm behavior once you get it, rather than just putting down the food all at once. Our dog loves attention. She is always barking at us. How can we stop this? I just walk away. So usually when a dog is like barking at somebody for attention, they get attention, and they get attention either when we yell at them to be quiet, or when we ask them to do something else and then reward them for being quiet. So often it is just a matter of teaching the dog that if they bark at you, you go away and you ignore them.
Clicker training versus luring, which is best? I'm not sure if you mean by clicker training like free shaping versus shaping. I think that's what you mean. Uh, Free shaping is cool, but it takes a lot of patience, and you have to have really good timing. I mean, certain things are cool to free shape, like capturing sits for a puppy, or like capturing, I don't know, downs, or the dog if like in a relaxed state, or those kind of things. Sure. I mean, I think combination of both doesn't hurt. You don't have to be like, hey, I'm either free shaping, or I'm not doing it at all, or I'm luring, or I'm not luring at all. Like, I think if you have to have an open mind to kind of use both to your advantage.
Yeah, you can, because you can use a clicker and lure. Like you can lure a dog
Right,
into the sit and click and then give them the
right,
treat.
right.
Um, so you can use them both like at the same time.
True.
I personally like to lure, um, I like to lure like fitness behaviors or behaviors where I want to choose how the dog is going to do it, and I don't really necessarily want the dog to pick the easiest way physically. And I like to do a lot of clicker training and shaping when we're doing tricks or anything that I think I can quickly get using the clicker. But luring can definitely be faster and easier in some ways.
Right. My dog barks at I mean, all noises, sounds when inside. How do I make him feel safe, know that it's okay when we are inside? Go ahead.
So when I have a problem like this, I like to think about if a person was doing this, what would I think about them? So if a person was yelling at every single noise outside as if they had PTSD and it wasn't getting any better, I would definitely tell my vet about this or see a vet behaviorist or like hire somebody who is IAABC approved who will probably tell you to see a vet behaviorist. So if the dog is literally barking like 50 times a day at every little noise, usually that is not a training issue, that is a behavioral issue. And especially if they're like hysterical about it when they're barking. However, to work with this with food only and to see if a difference is made, I would, every time they notice a sound, I would have treats on me at all times. And so if they notice a sound, I would quickly tell them yes and peg them with a treat, like a high value one. And I would, if they started to bark, call them away from the window or lure them with a treat or pick them up. And I would reward them for being quiet. I would ask them to go on their place bed. I would show them what we do when we hear noises, and what we do when we hear noises is nothing. And so you have to be consistent and you have to consistently manage and reward them. And then if I didn't feel like working with them, I would manage the behavior. I would manage the dog so they don't exhibit the behavior. So I would never let my dog sit and look out a window and window watch and yell at everybody going by. I don't leave my front door open with glass to let them look out and bark at things. I don't let them sit in the car, like standing up on the dashboard, barking at people. And I like to use like sound machines or music to drown out outside sounds if I think the dog is going to have a hard time. So I try to minimize the barking as much as possible just by like altering my environment. And the other thing we like to do is gradual desensitization to sound by going on like YouTube and looking up dog sound desensitization. And then you can play like one of these 2-hour long loops of like construction noises on a good quality speaker in your house at like a very low volume. When your dog has no reaction after a few days, you raise it a slight bit. And so we can help the dog's brain become more flexible and help them to habituate to noises more by slowly exposing them at a level where they are sub-threshold and not upset.
Perfect. My dog gets very loud and anxious anytime anyone comes to our home. She says eventually, but anytime anyone moves, she gets up. We practice calm, but when she gets startled, it's hard to get her calm. Um, how old is the dog? And I feel like anxious anytime comes, is it the greeting behavior? Like, is like as soon as the doorbell rings or they come in, is this when she gets really loud and feels anxious? Or is it like a constant thing? Like as long as they're in the house, she's anxious all the time. If it's a greeting thing, like dogs get kind of, sometimes dogs can get loud, get really excited when people come to the door. I feel like, especially with COVID and not people are visiting a lot the past couple of years and whatnot. I think house and teaching them, telling the guests to be kind of calm and not to greet her like the minute they come in the door, and have treats, scatter feed her, just kind of do the calm stuff, like get her on her place bed, do things like that. And her being calm when visitors are in the house, if she can't settle and you feel like it's not fair, she gets up every time someone moves, have her go in her crate and have her crate, I don't know, in the bedroom, have her relax in there, give her a stuffed Kong or something that she enjoys. And I think she deserves to feel calm and secure.
Sounds good to me. What are your tips and tricks for people reactive dogs who have a history of fear towards kids? So I do get these from time to time, and we have to be especially careful with children because they are face level, and it's very easy to have an accident with a child when you have a dog that has a problem. So like, I would muzzle train right off the bat, because if we do everything right, we'll hopefully eventually be in close range of children. And when I'm working with kids that are weird with dogs, the dog just has to be muzzled for liability reasons. So that's the first thing, is like really solid muzzle training where the dog doesn't care that they have the muzzle on and isn't going to be sad or upset or agitated by it. Then I would be going to places where there are children, but the children are contained behind a fence, so they cannot run at me. And so often I'll do this like downtown where I live. We have like parks that have chain link and gates, so the kids are behind a gate, so I can control the distance. And then I take the dog to a distance where I feel they can be successful, so they're sub-threshold, they're not like upset, agitated, panting, and they're able to take high value rewards like meat. And I would stand there and reward them for noticing the children. And noticing means like either looking at them or hearing them. And in a half hour, I could easily go through like a nice giant bag of meat. So you want to reward liberally, because we're trying to build a positive, conditioned, emotional response to the sight and sound of children. You can also do the dog sound desensitization soundtracks like I was talking about. They have some for children and some for babies. And I would also be very careful not to make it worse by putting your dog in situations where they're experiencing extreme fear around children. So if we put them in situations where they're running and hiding from children, getting really weird with them, backing away, it's just further digging us a hole. And so you really want to make sure that you're protecting your dog from fear around children while you're trying to work on this issue. And if you do plan on having children in your life, I recommend working like this now and not waiting. We get a ton of calls where I get a ton of calls where it's like the first day a parent brings a baby home from the hospital and it does not go well, and it's like a frantic, freaked out call. Or people are visiting from out of state and they have kids and they're staying at your house and it's a big problem. So I always recommend working on this like ASAP, sooner than later, years before you need it. And there's a few good accounts like When Dog Meets Baby, and it used to be called Dogs and Storks. So there's two different businesses that are geared towards people getting dogs used to children and getting children used to dogs that I would check out.
Perfect. What do I do about alert barking? Like when a person appears out of nowhere in a previously empty area. It especially happens on our porch when she can hear someone approaching from behind our car. I think that's what dogs were bred to do. It's very hard to get rid of the problem. I think what you can do is just build more engagement with you, maybe teach her a quiet command, maybe scatter feed, distract her with something else. You can also try to set up scenarios, but try to make it go easy, and like maybe during daylight when it's not dark outside, and distract her with treats, with rewards, with stuff like that, and engaging with you, reward her for engaging with you. But alarm barking is one of the behaviors that it's really hard to get rid of. Like, you can manage it and deal with it, of course. You can have behaviors that help the dog stop barking and come back to you, whether it's recall, whether it's engagement, whether it's redirection. But to stop it by itself, it's very hard.
And we really want to look at like at what level of alarm barking are we talking? Like if one of my neighbors like appears in their yard and is like hanging their head over my fence, 100% my dogs are going to bark, even though they like people, and that's normal. It's when we have like abnormal alarm barking that we have to start to wonder what's going on with the dog. I mean, like I would, like if somebody, walked onto my property, my dogs are gonna bark.
Of course.
And that's okay.
I don't
Probably
expect
a
my
good
dog not to
thing.
bark. Yeah, for sure. I posted a video a while ago about Chloe. She was barking at the gardener because he came up to the deck in the backyard, and he usually doesn't. So she was barking at him, and I recalled her to stop barking, and I rewarded her for coming back to me. So we don't expect our dogs not to bark.
Someone asks, what is free shaping? So free behavior shaping is when you take your dog or whatever animal you're working with, and you reward them. You choose a behavior, like whatever that may be, and you reward them for successive approximations toward that behavior. So let's say I want to teach my dog to put all 4 feet in like a small box. I would take a big box and I could first click and reward them if they look at the box. And then once they're looking at the box over and over and they seem to think they get a treat for looking at the box, then I would wait them out and wait until they touch the box. And then when they're touching the box reliably for a treat, I would wait till they touch the box with a foot, and then I would wait till they step in the box, and then I would wait till they step with 2 paws in and reward them for that. So it's about looking at your behavior, breaking it down into smaller steps, and then rewarding each small step towards your final goal. Oh, one of my clients just asked in the comments, what is abnormal alert barking? That's a good one. She's a good client too, very loyal, so we'll talk about it. What do you think?
Abnormal alert barking is if like the previous question where the dog barks at everything, every little noise outside. I mean, like the normal stuff, nothing out of the ordinary. So that would be abnormal. Or if a dog alarm barks at something and then doesn't stop and like keeps going on for a long time, and he can't get his attention and do anything like that.
Yeah, I would say when they bark and like they experience distress too. So like if my dogs barked at the neighbor and I like took out a frisbee, they'd be like, whatever. They wouldn't care and they would not continue to be upset. But if they barked and then had an elevated heart rate or respiration for like minutes afterwards, and they could not like emotionally calm down, that would be a big problem.
How to
And
correct the
another
dog
trainer
was
chimed in and said, not being able to stop. Oh, there was lag.
It's true. Not being able to stop, true. That's what he said. How to correct a dog who is constantly scanning the ground during walks to eat anything she can find, dirt, sticks, seeds, etc. I think very rarely that a dog continues doing a behavior that's not reinforced. So you gotta see what's reinforcing to her, which is in this case is her grabbing the dirt, sticks, and getting some satisfaction out of that. So you need to kind of break the cycle, walk in places where there's nothing for her to grab and at first, and then reward her for engaging with you, giving you attention, have some treats on you all the time, high value rewards, make her feel, which is true. I mean, if you have steak on you, I doubt the dog is going to look at dirt and sticks anymore, and reward that attention, build value in engaging with you, and go slow. And in the beginning, start walking on places where she can't get reinforced for sniffing and scanning the ground.
And sometimes this is pica and they have like a nutritional deficiency and they like
True,
compulsively want to eat dirt. So
true,
you could like think about that. Some of
true.
them are just doing it because like I let my dogs eat things that aren't going to kill them. So like if they want to eat some grass, they could go to town. If they want to eat a leaf, like whatever. When we like make it a big deal, sometimes it becomes a big deal. So I don't panic or try to take away things that they're chewing on unless I feel like it's going to be really bad for them. And if I have a dog that's like scanning the ground a lot, I'll often walk them like on the side of the street so that if it's safe, obviously, so that they're not able to pick up grass and dirt and sticks. Like we're literally on concrete and they're learning to walk at my side. And we have a few dogs we work with that have like pretty crazy pica and they have to wear like once in a while I meet a dog that wears a muzzle outside because they're just like swallowing things and they've had blockage surgeries.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
When you start punishing a dog for picking stuff up, you can make them funny or afraid of you too. So we have to be careful with that.
True. And dogs that when you come up to them to take something out of their mouth, they start doing it kind of on purpose and run away and play keep away. So it's for sure.
And you can also put them on a head halter and just keep their head up and not let them drop their head and eat stuff, which isn't the nicest thing, but it can work well to teach them like a replacement. This one's fun. How'd you advise someone to build food drive? Only works for a ball, but won't down and can't be lured. Sounds like Georgie. So Georgie has very poor, horrible food drive. You can put like a plate of meat out in front of her and she would like walk away a lot of the time. So building food drive is a process. A lot of it has been like taking my own advice basically and the advice that I give to my clients, which is if your dog doesn't want to eat, pick the food up and put it away and try again later. So we don't want to get into like begging our dog to eat or trying to force them to eat. We want to still try to train our dog with food. And if they don't want to do very simple stuff like an enrichment puzzle or a simple task for the food, we can feed them later. They're not going to starve themselves. And often people who have dogs with poor food drive, they get stuck in like a mentality of my dog is starving and has to eat. And I highly doubt the dog is starving. The other thing you can do is to make the ball conditional like your dog has to take a treat in order to get the ball thrown. So you can pair them together. You can give the dog a treat and then throw the ball and make them take the food before you throw the ball and you can transfer the value.
I like the pre-macking stuff is good. It works. And food chase might also help. Like use a get it command where like you toss the piece of food away. If the dog likes to chase, like Chloe, sometimes like if she's very picky, like if there's like a treat that she doesn't want, like she won't take it out of my hand. If I say get it and toss it, she would chase it and she would eat it. So you might want to try that too. In addition to everything Gia said.
Want to do a few more?
Sure, let's do it.
All right, we'll do a couple more. My dog, oh, this one's good. My dog is scared of the floors. She's 1.5 years old. Will she outgrow this? So dogs do not outgrow behavior problems. They grow into problems, just like people do not outgrow weird problems. We get worse with age. And so I would say no, she's not going to grow out of this, but she can learn to not do it if you help her. And like being afraid of surfaces is complicated. Sometimes there's physical issues. Like a lot of dogs are not physically sound. They have like hip dysplasia, elbow dysplasia, back issues. They're just not strong. And so they're very afraid of slipping. So the first thing I would do is put runners down and I would make sure that your dog has a way to like move through the house so they're not nervous all the time. And then I would begin doing like target touch training and getting them to move around like on their carpeting for treats. I would do a lot of enrichment work and feed them from puzzle toys only and put them on those surfaces and encourage my dog to go on those surfaces using food. And I would not make it a big deal if they were scared. I would just stay calm. Other stuff?
This question is interesting. My two-year-old pug loves to eat her poop. She isn't interested to eat other dogs' poop. She starts licking her lips when pooping and quickly eats it. She'll become agitated if I try to stop her. Um, I think it depends what you mean by agitated. I mean, if she's on a harness, like you can just pull her away from her poop and pick it up safely. But Earth Animal makes a natural supplement that you can give to the dog to stop eating her poop. You might want to try that as well, especially that she eats only her poop. So maybe the supplement would help you.
Yeah, I would try that, or Forbid is one, Forbid. That's a good one, a supplement you could try. I would try like all of them and see if any work. And then the other thing is it may be related to like the food you're feeding her. And so dogs who eat the raw diet typically digest everything that they're eating and they do not like to eat their poop. So you could try feeding her like an extremely high quality, very digestible food and definitely make sure you feed an appropriate amount and see if it goes away on its own.
Not a question, but love this collab. More collab content, please. Sure. We're
For
just starting. We're just starting. This is just the beginning. We have great things coming. So really great things. So be prepared. Okay, let's take one final question. You choose, Gia.
I get
Go
to
for it.
choose? Oh
Yep.
man, this could take a minute. Oh, this one's good. Typically, at what age can dogs be loose in the house? Crate is used at night, and when I am out, he is on a leash when I am home. He is 9 months old. So I personally am in no great rush to leave a dog loose in my house. And in fact, several of my dogs I actually didn't crate, like as puppies. Poppy, who's gone now, and my dog Vera was not crated really at all as a puppy, which made it harder. And now I am like a big fan of crating, and everybody gets crated here at different times. And so I would say I would leave a dog loose in my home if I was like 100% sure that they would definitely not make a poor choice and cause thousands of dollars worth of damage in my house. So, or hurt themselves. And so like a 9-month-old puppy, I don't think so. That would make me nervous because I would worry the entire time I was out that they are like deconstructing a feather pillow on the couch or chewing a wire and electrocuting themselves. I think until the dog really has no desire to chew on or touch your things, they shouldn't be left out.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's a lot more questions. I don't want anyone to feel left out. Do you have time to answer some more questions?
Do I have time?
I,
I sure
yeah,
do. We could answer a couple
I do
more.
too. I mean, everyone is such amazing followers, and I appreciate you guys. So we don't want anyone to feel like we left them out or we ignored their question. I wish I can get to every single question. I really do, but hopefully the next Q&A will answer a lot more.
We
So
should probably do another one.
yeah, sure.
So, do you see one you like?
Someone, just to build on the crate training, someone asked like how to kind of, their dog has negative association with the crate, with them leaving, because the dog had to be forced in his crate because they had to leave the house. And I think we were talking about making a video, like why is it important to crate your dog at different times during the day, even when you're not leaving the house,
Oh,
in different
yes.
rooms, different times for different durations, even if it's like 5 minutes, just put them in the crate, you're not leaving. You don't want you putting them in the crate trigger or mean that you're going to leave them for hours. Last thing you want. Um,
Yeah, so like right now, Neon and Georgie are in crates, and they're quiet, even though they know I'm in the house, which is really cool. And that's because they're used to randomly being put in the crate, like for a few hours at a time, even when people are in the house. And they have marrow bones, so I made it more of a positive thing for them too.
For sure. Chloe is sleeping on my bed though. She's not in her crate now. How to build excitement with a puppy to keep them engaged in a training session. Keep your sessions short, fun, and don't force your dog to engage with you if they don't feel like it. I guess forcing engagement sometimes can pollute engagement and make it something negative. So keep it fun and do it with their meals when they're hungry. You know, you have the food. Like, you can't train your dog if you don't have something that dog wants. That's a number one rule for dog training. So whether it's a toy, whether it's food, any of that. And food chase is a really cool thing. So just tossing food, kind of having the dog come back to you, you reward them, then toss food. Just keep it fun, short. Puppies have a short attention span. So
Yeah, I would say my sessions with my puppy usually are like 6 minutes long. And I know that because I film them and I'm always like, oh, 6 minutes. It's like I have an internal clock, and keeping it short definitely helps with her being engaged.
I have a friend who asked a question. Gia, I'll leave it
Oh,
to you. She said, how do we get our dog to stop marking constantly on our walks?
wait, marking or barking?
Marking, he
Oh,
marks.
so I would walk.
And this is Bowie, who was in the jumping video, the one
Oh,
that we
yes,
did. Yeah,
the line cut.
he's really cute.
So if I want to walk, I walk on like the shoulder of the street, or I make them stay on the sidewalk. And if so, I don't believe in like never letting a dog sniff, but I sometimes walk like all four of my dogs together, and it would be insane if I was letting them sniff. We would literally go like 5 feet because everybody would be pulling me in a different direction. And so if I don't want everybody marking and sniffing, I keep a short leash and I just keep walking, and I reward them for moving quick with me. And I bring like very good treats with me. So they're typically like locked onto me and really wanting whatever I have, which is usually like some kind of meat or cold cut or cheese. And I like to keep them on a tool which controls either their head or the front of their body. So if I have a dog that really likes to stop every couple of seconds, I like to clip the leash to the front of their harness, or if they're good and they don't pull on a leash, maybe they have a martingale on or something. And that's because it's just easier for me to continue moving with them. And I do like I said, I like to walk on the shoulder of the street, which is possible where I live, but I know it's not possible in some other places. But often just not even giving them the chance to have something to mark just makes the behavior completely go away. And then you should allow your dog to sometimes sniff. So I will sometimes stop and release them and let them do whatever they want and stand there and let them sniff or pee or whatever.
Nice.
Anything
My
else?
4 month my 4 months puppy has not been able to go outside until now. Problem is she's putting everything in her mouth. It's compulsive, I think. How can I deal with it?
Oh, I would be measuring out her food for the day, and I would be measuring out her food for the day and be like hand feeding her outside and keeping her engaged and keeping her head up. And I would be working with her outside in places where there's nothing to pick up. So she starts getting in the habit of we go outside to eat and have fun together.
Yes. On a walk, my 4-year-old rescue border collie freaks out. Border collie mix freaks out when she sees another dog. I continue to walk and keep her in a heel position. Is this the best thing to do? Should I get him around other dogs through a behaviorist? Um, it sounds like leash reactivity, which is very common in many dogs. I would definitely seek out professional help, but one of the things you can do is from a distance, scatter feed, keep your dog below threshold. Don't let her kind of don't put yourself or your dog in situations where you know she's going to react. Kind of just break the cycle, stop the rehearsal of behavior, make dogs seeing some dogs from a distance before she reacts something positive, build engagement, value in you always have value rewards on you, and practice redirection, our last videos that we just made. So that will help.
So this one is asking about you. Who is freaking Possum certified with?
Well, good question. I am. I graduated from the Michael Ellis School for Dog Trainers. I did their longest immersion program. I don't know if you know who Michael Ellis is. He's, in my opinion, one of the best trainers in the world. He's titled Many Dogs and Monitoring Level 3, which is the highest level. He's done a lot of pet dog training. His methodology is what resonated with me and what I want to do with dogs. He's such a great teacher and a great dog trainer. It's kind of a little bit, you don't find those often, someone who's really good in teaching and really good in dog training, but he has both those traits. He's awesome. I was privileged to be able to learn from him. I spent almost 5 months with him and hands-on training. So, and that's how I learned.
And ironically, like most of my dog training friends have studied with him or studied his material.
Yeah, he's really good. He's like really good.
Okay, let's do like 3 more.
Okay.
Okay, you can pick them.
My 3-month-old golden retriever is starting to play bite a lot. I try to redirect and use toys. Any other tips?
That's the one I was gonna pick, so that's
Oh,
good.
really?
Yeah.
Nice.
So most 3-month-old puppies will bite the crap out of you, and it's completely normal. And it goes away with time. They outgrow it. Unless they have anxiety, they do outgrow it. And so what I recommend is to, number one, make sure they get enough sleep. So it is very important that your puppy sleeps like 16 to 18 hours a day, because if they don't, they're horrible. And so if my puppy has been up for 1 or 2 hours, I put her in the crate to take a nap, because if she is awake for 3 hours straight, she's going to start picking at me and the other dogs. And now she's mostly outgrown it because she's 5 months old. But at first, like, they absolutely need to take naps just like a human child. And then it's very important, if you don't want your puppy mouthing and nipping at you, that you don't play with your puppy with your hands. So a lot of people like to like push the puppy around or like play like this. And you can imagine that your hands are like another dog's mouth. And so when you play with your puppy with your hands, it's like you're biting them, and it's a very bad habit to get in, unless you don't care that your dog bites and mouths you. So I do not play with my puppy with hands unless their mouth is like locked onto a toy. And I do a ton of like fetch with a ball or a small frisbee, and I do like a ton of tug. And I also provide my puppy with lots of outlets for their energy, like appropriate things to do. And so my puppies, because I have I have at least one nice adult dog, my puppy gets to play with somebody every single day. And that helps her not to bite me. And I give her food enrichment, and I also give her a ton of different things to chew on and enjoy, so that her whole world is not about playing with me. She has like other activities. And if she does bite me, I just calmly redirect her.
Perfect.
Okay. Next one is for you. I'll pick it. Unless you have one in mind, because I haven't picked one yet.
I don't know. So.
Wait, did we answer the one for advice about developing positive feelings about the crate when the dog has to be put there out of necessity?
Yeah, that's the one I was
We did,
talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, I didn't read it word to word, but I just like kind of talked about it. Where we said like
Best
you don't
type
want
of
the crate. Yeah, go ahead.
best type of bone to purchase that is safe for your puppy to chew on? What's your favorite thing?
Good question. I used to really like beef tendons. they're really good, and they were long lasting, at least for Chloe. But she developed kind of sensitivity. She can't eat like bully sticks, beef tendons, freeze dried beef, all those things. So lately, I've been giving her elk antlers. They're not my favorite. They're a little hard on their teeth. Um, but I think beef tendons are great chews. Some people like um, pig ears. I've never tried them. What are your thoughts on pig ears?
Never? Your dog has never had a pig ear in her entire life?
No, I just worry because I feel like pig ears are kind of similar to rawhide in a way when every time I touch them. So I don't know. I'm
My
like,
dogs have had pig ears. They've had them
okay.
fresh off the pig.
Oh, nice.
I mean, I get a lot of free stuff, and I do like to buy things for my dogs. So they get like a lot of different things, and I sometimes have to like cool it with it. But we like raw marrow bones a lot.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think
Raw
those are
marbles
good
are
for
cool.
puppies. Oh yeah, we just had somebody say raw beef bones are,
Yeah,
yeah, those
yeah,
are probably my
perfect.
favorite.
I mean, bully sticks are great, but except when they become little, you have to like kind of watch them so they don't swallow it because puppies can't swallow little pieces of like when the bully stick gets to a certain size. So.
So the client that I saw yesterday with the French bulldogs, which I posted about, she brought up an incident that happened when her dog was a puppy, in which her dog like swallowed a significant portion of bully stick like a penguin, and
Oh,
then she freaked out and went to the vet. But they can digest them. Like it would be unusual for
yeah,
them not to. So they went
yeah.
to the ER. She called me and was like, "Should I go to the ER?" And I was like, "I wouldn't, but I also don't want to be irresponsible if your dog
Yeah,
dies. So
for
yes,
sure.
go to the ER." And then they basically
Yeah,
didn't even charge her and told her to go home. Oh my
yeah.
God, a bunch of my siblings are joining. How
Oh,
cute.
nice. Hey, how's it going? And no hides are cool, but except some dogs can like break also bigger pieces and try to swallow them whole. That can be a little dangerous. So you gotta watch your dog in the beginning because some dogs are like kind of like to chew stuff slowly, and some dogs like to rip things apart and swallow big pieces. So it's good to always know gauge what type of dog you have. It gives you a better idea.
And when things are, so the one thing that like vets often talk about a lot is that anything hard can fracture teeth. And so you have to really like take a calculated risk. So I know that my dogs can fracture teeth on the hard things that I give to them, but I think the benefit outweighs the cost, because without having things to chew on, they are unhappy. And I have pet insurance, so if they do break a tooth, I can easily have it treated, and it is not a big deal because the other dogs aren't going to make fun of them because they're missing a couple teeth.
Okay, last question, and we're done for today.
All right, what is it? Are you picking it or am I?
Jumping up, I throw food down and say search to redirect. But Larry Crone says to leash pop, step into their space, and harsh no. Thoughts.
I mean, my thoughts are like, if I went to shake your hand and you slapped me and yelled at me, I would think you were a freak. And so I think when an animal is showing an affiliative social behavior, it's a big mistake to meet that with aggression. And it's a good way to cause a dog to be fearful of people. And so it's something that I would never do. Because my goal with my dogs is that my goal with my dogs is that they're friendly and sociable and confident in their environment. And when we punish an animal for showing a normal behavior, especially an affiliative behavior, we can do like so much damage and cause like irreversible fear.
Yeah, stepping into their space without, of course, without kneeing them might be like a strategy that could be utilized. But leash pops, it's very personal. Dogs jumping on you, or there are so many downfalls to leash popping a dog, especially for those kind of things. He's gonna associate the leash pop, whatever feeling, unpleasant feeling he felt with you. It's gonna damage your relationship. Um, Larry Crone, I watched his last video, one of his last videos, where he talked about positive only trainers and trainers who are like abusing e-collars. And he said that he'd rather get a dog that's went to a positive only trainer and had no results than getting a dog that's been abused on an e-collar. because that damage is very hard to undo. I appreciated that about him. I love that video. I like it, and I appreciate honest and upfront guys. So it's cool, but I don't agree with everything he says. So
Yeah, I'll step in a dog's space if they're jumping on me 100%. I don't do it like aggressively or roughly. I just assert my personal bubble. And many trainers don't like that, but I feel that it's effective and can be kind and not cause any kind of fear. If it was a dog that was fearful and it was going to cause the dog to be afraid of me, then I would not step in their space.
of
But
course,
like for my personal dogs, if they're jumping on me and I step in their space, it's just me asserting some space and they understand.
of course, and like sometimes we forget like what's aversive is sometimes from the dog's perspective. Like what's aversive to one dog doesn't mean it's aversive to the other, and the other way around. Like stepping in their space, spatial pressure. Some dogs are really socially sensitive. Like if you raise your voice a little bit, they just like they act like you just murder them, you know? So it's like you gotta kind of know the dog, what kind of dog you have. And be careful with anxious dogs and aversives. Never use aversives on any dog for that means, but especially anxious dogs. And people, when they have big strong dogs and they react on leash, it's kind of easy to assume that, hey, this dog is a jerk, or like this dog is like acting aggressive. But many times it's out of anxiety, fear, uh insecurity. Like if you have a big dog that's strong, it doesn't mean he's secure and he's confident. It's like, you know, a strong muscular guy who has zero self-confidence, you know. It's like it happens sometimes, and it happens a lot in dog training. So just kind of know your dog, take it easy on them, develop a relationship. Relationship building is the most important thing in behavior modification. It's the first thing to do. Let's build a relationship. And that's it for today. We're done, Gia.
Great answer. So
Yeah,
we'll do this again, I think, soon.
sounds good.
And
Yep.
you guys should follow Will if you don't already follow his new account for his new business.
And I'm sorry if we didn't answer some of the questions, but we will next time. So.
And will we be saving this live? I hope so. I hope I can.
Okay, fingers crossed. All right.
If not, that sucks.
It's cool. It's all good.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Gia, for your great advice and sharing your knowledge with people for free. So
Oh,
and your time.
you
So
too. Thank
thank you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.